It's so Britney
So,
and
Bryn and
Lisa.
Lisa.
Welcome to So Britney and Lisa Do Wine and Crime. On today's show, we have an all-new investigation: the death of Josiah Lawson.
Besides our main topic, the death of Josiah Lawson, our So Conspiracy of the week will definitely get everyone's tongues wagging as we put up our hair and toss on our school uniforms to investigate the strange conspiracy behind Britney Spears, the original Doll album.
And in our final segment, So Missing, we'll be re-evaluating the evidence associated with the disappearance of Relisha Rudd. Rudd was an 8-year-old girl when she went missing in Washington, D.C. in February 2014, and she has not been found.
Make sure you have a notepad and pen ready for the end of the show, because we will be giving you the relevant information on how to submit a tip to the FBI if you have any information concerning our So Missing cases.
Just a friendly reminder before we crack on with the show, Sober and Lisa Do Wine and Crime is a weekly podcast that airs each Wednesday on Podbean at 10pm GMT +1, 5pm EDT and 2pm PDT.
You can also follow us on Twitter at SoBrynandLisa and Instagram at SoBrynandLisa. I want to give a very, very quick shout out to Wolf Dreamseeker at Spookies and at Zelly for your support and following on Twitter. And it's Esther Hilton for your interactions on So Bryn and Lisa's social media platforms. Thank you.
Now, onto our So Conspiracy of the Week. In December 2004, Britney Spears, who was 22 at the time, walked into Kiss FM offices carrying an unmarked CD to meet radio host Josiah Lawson. The meeting was pre-planned, but only just. Spears had called the studio about an hour before to ask whether she could play her new song Mona Lisa live, which was from her up-and-coming, then untitled new album. On that particular day, Britney had allegedly gone rogue following the worldwide success of her 2003 album In the Zone, which featured the lead single Me Against the Music featuring Madonna.
The month previous to Britney's shock studio drop-in, the singer had released My Provocative and was still promoting the Bobby Brown cover, which was the first single from her Greatest Hits album released on November the 3rd. In 2004, Britney appeared less than her polished self, and her clean image mask had begun to slide, all aligning with the singer joining the religion Kabbalah on Madonna's recommendation following their collaboration. That same year, after finding an all-new freedom through religion, she eloped to Vegas with childhood friend Jason Alexander, only to annul the marriage 55 hours later. She cancelled her aunt's hotel tour after breaking her knee, then went on to marry backup dancer Kevin Federline after knowing him for 5 months.
After a year of huge career highs and personal lows, which played out for everyone to see with an all-inclusive lurid tabloid headlines, Britney headed to Kiss to take control of her musical direction and prove her own independence, despite what her management team may have wanted. The song Britney played on that day was a strangely introspective song, which would go on to launch 1,000 fan theories. Using Da Vinci's famous artwork as its subject, the song discusses a character on the verge of a nervous breakdown.
The lyrics read, "Now see everyone's watching as she starts to fall. They want her to break down, be a legend of her fall." Britney mentioned during her radio appearance, "My band, we didn't use Pro Tools or anything with it. It's all live. It will get better. This is a really, really rough mix." Britney's decision to compare herself to Mona Lisa was an interesting one, and one that she would maintain when she filmed her next music video, Do Something, which Spears styled and came up with the choreography while using the name Mona Lisa. At around the same time, she also told TRL, "I kind of think she's like my alter ego. Whatever I feel like being mean or possibly like busting people around to get my stuff right." She added, "It's kind of easier to be called Mona Lisa instead of Britney."
Despite the excitement Britney expressed about Mona Lisa and her new album, which was finally named The Original Doll, her record label was adamant that there was no concrete plans to release Mona Lisa or The Original Doll officially in any case. In fact, Do Something, another track that Britney had to convince her record label to get behind, was also never physically released in the USA. Because as it was so delicately put to Sobrin and Lisa from an insider on the 11th of August 2020, the song wasn't a Brit canon. It might have been a decent bit of crunk, but it wasn't intended for her, and it was greenlit to stroke her out of control ego, nothing more, nothing less. Further to this, it was made clear that no one involved in the recording of Original Doll had even been paid yet, and Jive cleared this up in a sucker punch statement that read, "No album is scheduled at the moment, but Britney is in the studio working on some new material." Jive added to Billboard, "There are no plans to service Mona Lisa to the radio." Ultimately, Mona Lisa was the only song that was ever officially confirmed for the Original Doll. And when that album didn't come into fruition, it was reworked for the Chaotic EP, the soundtrack to Britney and Federline's short-lived reality show.
Also on the EP was Chaotic and Someday. Of all the songs that have been speculated to appear on Original Doll, these two were the most likely choices, with Henrik Jombach confirmed in writing with Britney on her German Onks Hotel tour in 2004. Which was around the same time that Mona Lisa was recorded, and the Guy Sigsworth produced Someday was written in early 2005 before Spears learned of her first pregnancy, just a month or two after the Original Doll announcement. Other songs that have since been speculated, or as some have claimed, confirmed for the unreleased 2005 album include And Then We Kiss, Look Who's Talking, I've Been Loving You, Baby Boy, Let's Go, Ouch, Take Off, Little Me, Rebellion, All That She Wants.
Our source who spoke with us over 3 days ago added Rebellion was teased on her main page in reference to her official website, adding, "I don't know if this was intended for the Original Doll. I can say that Brit did a lot of things without the label's permission. In the Zone's change of direction may have marked the end of the Brit fans knew, but it introduced the emotional, unstable kid the dark side of fame had soured."
When the Sobrin and Lisa producer asked the source to elaborate on the comment, they pointed to a comment by Timbaland. "Look at what the insiders have to say. Need I write more?" Timbaland's comment, referenced by our insider, read, "She needs a story. She has no comeback story. That's the problem. She has to have a team. She needs to come back with Justin doing records." Then we'd see headlines like, "She went back to her ex and she's making smashes," but instead she's got so big-headed and was like, screw you, I don't need nobody." She shouldn't humble herself and make a phone call and say, "I'm sorry." She knows what she's sorry about. She needs to say, "I was wrong," and it definitely move forward. That's all she has to say.
The quote was clearly a reference to Britney's personal life low, in which during a party I attended, I witnessed Britney firsthand, alone in a Los Angeles hotspot, swigging on Red Bull cocktail, rampantly dancing, surrounded by hangers-on. That evening after the event, I was told by a photographer that Britney was telling anyone and everyone that Justin was pussy-whipped and she could stand sleeping at night. Soon after, without reason, Original Doll was cancelled and Blackout was released in the Britney Spears syndrome decade that saw the singer derailing at a rapid speed without anyone around her to press the pause button and reset.
Now to the science. Spears fans have since speculated that when Britney began to lose control, she was murdered, but not before being cloned. Allegedly, when photos surfaced of Britney and her backup dancer Columbus Short hooking up while his wife was expecting her first child, Brit's team knew they needed to take drastic action. She was the music industry's biggest cash cow, with her multi-platinum albums and sold-out tours, and they could take no more risks. Before she was cloned, Britney allegedly discovered her Stepford doll and even allegedly wrote about it on her 2004 independent album, which she kept a secret from her label. She was allegedly so worried about what her management team might do with her clone in the future, she began talking and taking action, such as debuting Mona Lisa at Kiss FM to prevent Jive bumping her off. After Jive allegedly got wind of Britney's plans to expose them, they quickly hospitalised the star and allegedly killed and replaced her during the 72-hour psychiatric hold. But her clone didn't have the same voice, and people started to notice.
This allegedly forced Jive to take more drastic action, this time by getting Maya Marie to sing for the clone, and although to some she may have sounded like Britney, to the most dedicated of the fans, allegedly she doesn't. And according to Donald Marshall, a leading conspiracy theorist in cloning, the tubes detailed in the video Break the Ice confirm this concept, and they look exactly like the real tubes in Cloning Centre. And if that's not proof enough, in 2015, B.O.B. posted a series of tweets accusing the music industry of cloning. The rapper claimed in a number of tweets that celebrities were being cloned. He wrote, "I swear, I don't want attention or money or fame, no more, just to get the truth out."
So there is your truth. If B.O.B. posts it, it must be true.
You've probably never heard of the student at Humboldt State who was killed in 2017, but the death of David Lawson case remains under investigation with the Arkansas Police Department, who are still seeking the public's assistance with their ongoing investigation. But what happened, and most importantly, who murdered David Lawson?
On April 15, 2017, while attending a house party on Spear Avenue, David Josiah Lawson, a popular student from Humboldt State, was stabbed to death during an altercation. 19-year-old Lawson, whose friends called him Josiah, was sprawled in the bushes of a small one-storey house where the party was held, bleeding from stab wounds to his torso. It was then that someone called 911. An ambulance and police were dispatched, and the police radio recordings logged what Arkansas officers and medics found on their arrival at the crime scene early on the Saturday morning before Easter. Audio scanner traffic recorded on April the 15th from 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. documents a series of officer-dispatcher exchanges. The first police at the scene variously reported a very aggressive crowd, a large group of angry individuals, and possible violence involved.
Officers did not indicate if the revellers, which they estimated to be around 100, were feuding among themselves, with law enforcement, or with neighbours, interlopers, or onlookers. Within 2 or 4 minutes post 3 a.m, sirens wailed in the background, and police radioed that a woman had been stabbed, that multiple units were responding, and the architect medical had been alerted. Shortly thereafter came word via the California Highway Patrol of at least one report that a man was down, evidently referring to Lawson. At the scene, one witness, Kateri Thompson, who had grown up with Lawson, said several students were standing outside the property yelling at police, and that the loud voices appeared to intimidate and confuse the police at the scene. Between 3:08 and 3:10, Arkansas police confirmed that the scene at 120 Spear Avenue was secure, and that a man was down, possibly stabbing, and CPR was in progress. A minute or so later, officers repeated that the scene was secured and that one patient was receiving CPR. One officer tried to use a portable defibrillator to revive Lawson, but the device was inoperable. Between 3:14 and 3:30, police arrested a suspect at the scene, and soon after, with the arrest in progress, Arkansas police reported that a very aggressive crowd had gathered before a female officer radioed for the second time, "I think I found the weapon," apparently a knife, allegedly wielded by Kyle Christopher Zola, 23, of McKinleyville, who admitted to being in a fight with Lawson.
The second half of the hour-long scanner audio carried no more transmissions pertaining to the stabbing. It was by that time the crime scene had quickly quietened down and the 100-strong crowd had disappeared. This was the case's first problem. The partygoers who were streaming out of the small house at the end of the cul-de-sac when the police arrived were allowed by the officers to leave the scene without taking witness statements or checking whether anyone had recorded video of the stabbing. Thompson at the time did not realise that his friend was the injured victim and later admitted that soon after the police broke up the crowd, he went home, and it wasn't until he heard from another partygoer that Lawson had been the one stabbed that he immediately left for the hospital, only to be told by doctors that his friend had died. Lawson, who was studying criminology with plans to go into law and politics, was described by his friend as having a loving nature. He was always peaceful. He said he was a peacemaker.
Kyle, who had fought with Lawson in the front of the house, pleaded not guilty to the murder charge at his trial. Witnesses who testified stated they had saw Lawson and Kyle wrestling on the lawn before describing Kyle making thrusting actions toward the victim's abdomen. Although the witness neither saw a knife nor identified Kyle as the killer, the witness who did not know Kyle said then they saw Lawson stumble across the lawn and fall into the bushes while a partygoer punched Kyle unconscious. Kyle, who was released following a week-long pre-trial in 2007, later thanked juries in 2009 and even sent his regards to the investigators on Lawson's case, which came as a blow to Lawson's mother.
Charmaine Lawson said of the case, "I was told by the 3 chiefs of police from APD and a city official that Kyle's DNA was on the knife that was used to murder my son. It's time that Humboldt County residents call out and address the Arkansas City officials and Humboldt County DA Maggie Fleming regarding DNA evidence appearing on the knife that was used to murder a young college student. I cannot bring my son back, but we can help take a murderer off the streets." She emotionally added, "Why should a murderer walk the streets with your loved ones? If he's killed once, he will kill again. Do you feel safer as a result of the actions the APD has taken in connection with this case? If not, then I encourage you to demand answers from your local representatives."
Anyone with information on Lawson's case can contact the anonymous tip line at 001 707 825 2590. Additionally, the Arkansas Police Department has released new images from a video obtained near the crime scene in order to identify anyone in the images as potential witnesses. The photos are available on the Arkansas Police Facebook page, which is www.facebook.com/ARCATAPD/.
If you have any information on the identity or whereabouts of anyone shown in these photographs, please call the Arkansas Police Department's Lawson tip line. That number again is 001 707 825 2590 or on the APD business line at 707 822 2428.
Now to end today's show, we will look at Relisha Rudd's disappearance. Born on October 29, 2005, Rudd went missing March 1st, 2014, while living in Washington, D.C. General Shelter with her mother.
Shamika Young, Rudd's mother, had befriended Janita Carl Tatum, a former felon, soon after moving into the shelter. And during this time, Tatum became close to Young's 8-year-old daughter. Tatum was known for inappropriately fraternising with shelter residents and for paying particular attention to the children, especially young girls. But this was ignored even after Rudd, who Tatum had bought a tablet computer and taken her to see Disney on Ice, stopped attending school.
Young later said she'd allowed Tatum to take her child away overnight, allegedly to stay with him and his grandmother after his persistent asking, and it was then the child never returned. Her mother, however, was not concerned and even provided a note saying she was having health problems and was in the care of Dr. Tatum. The school contacted Tatum at a number provided, but when he failed to show up for a meeting with them, a counsellor immediately contacted the police to report Rudd missing. The investigation later revealed the last sighting of Rudd had been weeks prior, when she was caught on camera with Tatum at an area hotel. On the same day, March the 2nd, Tatum was caught on CCTV buying a shovel, lime and 42-gallon trash bags.
On the 31st of March, after DC police obtained an arrest warrant for Tatum, his wife's body was found in a hotel in Prince George's County, Maryland. Soon afterwards, Tatum's body was also found in a shed in Kenilworth Park, dead from apparent suicide, by the same gun that killed his wife. The case has since gone cold. Rudd was last seen wearing a purple Helly Hansen winter jacket and pink boots. She was 4 feet and weighed approximately 80 pounds at the time of going missing. If you have any information on the case, please contact the Metropolitan Police Department on 001 202 265 9100.
That number again is 001 202 265 9100. That's it for today's show. Don't have nightmares.